everyone, and welcome back to the workbench. Today I'm going to be bringing you my review of the Glock 43 pistol. Before we get started, of course, as you can see, everything is completely unloaded, nothing in the chamber, nothing in the magazine well, no ammunition in the magazine or anywhere on the workbench. So as of the making of this video, March 2016, the MSRP for this firearm is $549. The cheapest that I could find it was $449, with the average price being right around $499. This is a semi-automatic striker-fired pistol. It is classified as a subcompact pistol. This is chambered in 9x19 Luger or 9mm. The average cost of that ammunition right now is around 27 cents a round for your range ammunition or your Winchester white box, and about 79 cents a round for a Hornady critical defense round. The frame is made out of a black polymer, and the slide is made out of a Tennifer-coated ordnance-grade steel. The finish, of course, is matte. There's nothing really shiny about this pistol. The weight of the unloaded gun, so as you see it here, is 16.15 ounces. The weight of the empty magazine is 1.85 ounces. The weight of both of them together is 18 ounces. The weight of a full magazine with 6 rounds of the Hornady Critical Defense 115 grain FTX ammunition is 4.3 ounces. The weight of the loaded gun with the full magazine plus 1, so a carry weight, is right at 20.85 ounces. The overall length of this gun, as measured from the back part of the grip down here to the front of the barrel, the front of the muzzle here, is 6.25 inches. Overall height, as measured with the extended base plate from the bottom of the base plate to the top of the sights, is 4.66 inches. Overall width of the slide, 0.86 inches. Overall width of the grip down here, 0.9 inches. But the widest part of the gun is actually going to be right around this slide stop area, and that comes in at 1.05 inches. Barrel length in this is 3.4 inches. Magazine capacity is 6 rounds. Trigger pull. They claim it's about a 5.5 pound trigger, but on my gauge here I am getting between 7 and 7.25 pounds consistently. The trigger type is a double action only or a Glock safe action trigger. Some might consider it a single action trigger, but it's either double action only or Glock safe action. Sights are your standard Glock U rear with a white dot front. The sight type is, of course, Glock. It's polymer. Safeties, safe action trigger. That's it. There's no external manual safety on this firearm. Intended purpose for this gun was concealment. I mean, this came in kind of later in the game when really all the competitors were already out, but it's a concealment pistol made for personal defense, not so much home defense, but of course you could use it for that. Unique features. Well, there really aren't any unique features to this. Something that I would look at and say, oh, that's, lets it stand apart from its competitors. Of course, options. I mean, nearly endless. It's a Glock, so it's like the Honda Civic of the gun world. You can, if as long as your funds are endless, you can do whatever upgrades or modifications you want to this firearm. Accessories, kind of in the same boat. Lasers, talent grips, holsters galore. But really, what you're watching this video for is my opinion. What do I personally think of the Glock 43? Well, let me start with by saying this. This has got to be the most perfect size firearm for concealed carry. I'll start by saying that. I mean, it just fits with the extended base plate here on the magazine. It just fits your hand so well. Everything just feels fantastic. The ergonomics are really good. Everything's where it should be. All the buttons are in the right place. They're easy to reach. The weight really kept to a minimum. And in this magazine, it is so easy to load. The spring in it isn't overly done. It's very smooth loading. It's very easy to load this magazine. The buttons, as I said before, they're kind of all in the right place, but a criticism I had of a competitor of one of these is that the slide release was so thin, it was made so low profile that it was difficult to utilize. But this one, has no problem whatsoever. Very, very functional. And that kind of sums up what I really like about this gun. Really, basically almost everything. So let's get into what I don't like about the Glock 43 pistol. So let's move on to the things that I would change or that I don't like about this gun. First and foremost, let's start with the trigger. I think the trigger itself is good in design. However, I think it failed or came up just short when they put it into action here. I really like the safety design on this trigger. As you know, I'm not a fan of the M&P hinged trigger or the broken trigger. I like the blade in the front. However, this blade, when it's fully depressed, doesn't quite become flush with the rest of the trigger. It like sticks up a little bit, and it's uncomfortable when you push it. See, I'm just going to push it and hold it here with my pinky and then show you my pinky. There's a nice ridge, a nice dent in my pinky. That happens to your trigger finger all the time when you're shooting this gun because the trigger is so heavy. They say it's a 5.5 pound trigger approximately on their website. This came in between 7 and 7.25 pounds, which is incredibly heavy. My gauge only goes up to 8 pounds, so when I started getting past 6.5 and approaching 7, I started thinking, is this gauge even going to be able to measure it? So the trigger, not my favorite part. In shooting this gun, it was slightly painful on my trigger finger, and the reason for that had to do with the safety, but also as the gun recoiled, my fingers, as I pointed out before, don't touch. They've kind of got a weird curve to them, but when I shoot, it's the bottom of my finger that is painful. And this happened also on my full-size M&P, which is why I opted to change the trigger in it. But I think there's a few contributing factors to this. Number one, this safety doesn't go all the way flush. Number two, it's a 7 pound plus trigger pull. And number three, the gun is so light that when it recoils, it's got a 9mm snappy recoil on a small frame here, it slams the trigger guard into the bottom of my finger. For its size, like I said, it's the perfect size for a concealed carry gun. That said, I think the capacity sucks. 6 rounds plus 1, so you got 7 in stock configuration. Yes, Terran Tactical sells different base plates. There's other companies out there that sell spring kits and or base plates that increase your capacity, but then you're changing the dimensions of the gun itself, and it becomes a little bit larger than what it originally was designed to be, which in my opinion is the perfect size. So having said that, what's stopping you from carrying a 357 with 7 rounds in it, or a 38 with 6 rounds in it, or even a 357 with 6 rounds in it? 6+1 capacity, I think for the size of this gun, I think they did a very poor job in the capacity. So the capacity I wasn't thrilled with, 6+1, but then again, if that's what you can carry, if this is what you can conceal, then that's better than absolutely nothing. Which brings me to my last point, and my last criticism about the Glock 43, and really Glock as a whole, cost. This gun MSRPs for $550. That is significant. When you can buy another competitor in this same class for literally hundreds less. For instance, the cheapest I could find this was $449. The cheapest I could find the Shield in October of last year, so not even 6 months ago, was $310. That is a huge, huge savings. Average price $499. Average price of the Shield back then was $369. It's $130 difference. There's a lot you can do with $130. You can buy 5 boxes of ammo with it and go out and train with that Shield. Having said that, this gun is a very good shooter. Every firearm that I test at 10 yards. So let me show you the target for this Glock 43 at 10 yards. Here it is. So at 10 yards, this Glock 43 and me, offhand, just standing unsupported, I was able to get a 1.5 inch grouping at 10 yards. Now, I typically shoot most firearms left out of the box, and I have to adjust the sights. That's what accounts for these shots being on the left-hand side, but consistency. 1.5 inch group at 10 yards out of a pistol with a barrel length of 3.4 inches is fantastic. So it may sound as if I'm talking bad about and don't necessarily like the Glock 43, but that's not the case at all. I think this is a wonderful pistol. I just think that for my personal preference, it has a few features that I don't like or that I would change. If you're considering this gun to protect your life, I say you've got nothing to be concerned about. It will perform very well, and with all the features and upgrades available, this would be a great gun to own. Its ergonomics are very good. The reliability, of course, is Glock reliability. Follow-up shots are a breeze with a perceived low bore axis. With that, I will say thank you all very much for watching. I will talk to you again very soon.